Do you have an emergency fund? Do you really need one? How much money should you put aside? And what's the best way to get started? What about all of your other financial obligations? There are a lot of questions surrounding emergency funds. Stick around and I'll answer them all. Hi guys, I'm Sergi with Money Under Control. This week, I'm covering a topic that's become especially important in today's economic climate, and that is the emergency fund. An emergency fund should be a part of everyone's budget. Hopefully you've watched my previous video where I talk about creating your budget. This will make planning for your emergency fund that much easier. I've put the link in the top right corner in case you'd like to check that out later. And if you guys haven't subscribed yet, hit that red button and the bell next to it. You will get notified every time I release a new video with a fresh portion of budgeting and money saving tips. As we're heading into month 6 of some level of quarantine in the US, most of us either have been or know someone who has been financially impacted by the current pandemic. Salaries were cut across organizations, companies conducted mass layoffs, and small businesses in every community continue to struggle. During times like these, it's super important to have an emergency fund. But what is an emergency fund? Investopedia defines an emergency fund as a readily available source of assets to help people navigate their financial dilemmas. And yes, you absolutely should have one. While it is especially relevant now, given the current coronavirus crisis, an emergency fund can save you during many different situations. In fact, that's why it's called an emergency, right? Because it's something unexpected and typically urgent. And when it comes up, you've got to take care of it right away. The other parties involved aren't usually concerned if you've accounted for the cost in your budget. This is hopefully the only global pandemic we will encounter in our lifetime. But it's a serious reminder that it's a good idea to have an emergency fund. An emergency fund can help you cover any expenses that come up unexpectedly that you wouldn't have thought to budget for. The common uses for emergency funds are car repairs and medical costs. Having an emergency fund when events like this pop up can give you peace of mind during what otherwise could be very stressful situations. And less stress means more focus on what really matters. From a financial perspective, that means sticking to your budget and getting out of debt. But what if you find yourself in a financial emergency without the funds to take care of it? Well, that's what I'm here to help you avoid. Alright, let's start with the basics. I recommend as a general rule to have 6 months of your household salary set aside for your emergency fund. If you've got your budget template handy, this amount should be pretty easy to find. If you haven't completed your budget sheet yet, don't worry, it's pretty easy to calculate. Just add up any income you or contributing member of your household make each month and multiply it by 6. For those just getting started on setting up an emergency fund, this might seem a little overwhelming. One trick that I found to be helpful for many people is to create a separate bank account. This way, you'll know exactly how much money you have in your emergency fund, and you won't be tempted to use those funds for anything else. Obviously, if you're not already budgeting, you'll need to start with putting together a budget. Again, I link my budget sheet walkthrough right here. Included in this budget should be around 20% of each paycheck to go towards your emergency fund, until you've built up that 6 months of your household salary. This might mean cutting down certain services, going out to eat less, and so on. Actions like these are a great place to start when you're first setting out on your budgeting journey, or when you need a friendly reminder to get back to it. Understanding the budgeting basics will set you up for success not only in building an emergency fund, but also for paying off any debt that you may have. Speaking of debt, once you've got your emergency fund squared away, it's time to focus on debt. By this point, you'll have been putting into your emergency fund for quite some time and have figured out how to live comfortably without those funds. You won't even miss them. As a result, it'll be a breeze to then start allocating these funds towards any loans or debt that you may have. Refer to your budget sheet regularly, and you will be a budget master in no time. With an emergency fund at your disposal, you will be ready for any unexpected financial situations. You'll set yourself down the path to being debt-free and ready to begin your next financial adventure: investment. but that's the topic for another video. Stay tuned! With that, I want to thank you guys for watching this video. If you found it helpful, hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this in the future. Also, let me know in the comments below if you already have an emergency fund. And if so, how did it help you? I'll be happy to hear from you guys. See you in the next video. Bye!